next first.
Now let me start.
No, but I don't know. This is like 10 o'clock in the morning.
No, Suzanne.
Start.
Okay.
Hey
You didn't
guys.
post the thing for last night. Sorry. Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm not feeling shy.
She's not even loud.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? It's me, Ogo Osfala. If you are a new subscriber, welcome back. We do a lot of fun things here. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome. So as you can already see from the title of this video, okay, first of all, I want to say a huge thank you and a huge shout out to everyone who watched my video, everyone who subscribed, liked, commented on my last video. You guys showed me a lot of love on it, and I'm very, very grateful for it. So as you can see from the title of this video, we're going to be discussing something very interesting, a very, very interesting topic today. And I have some persons here with me, some beautiful and handsome faces here with me to discuss this particular topic. So before we get into the video, we're going to go ahead and introduce themselves. Then we'll get right into the video. So we'll start with you.
Yeah, you can call me Rex.
I am Jamesmartins.
I'm Maryjane. I'm Onyii. I'm Anno.
Okay, so let's get right into this video. Our topic today is sex before marriage. Before we start this video, before we start the discussion, before we get the conversation rolling, I just want to say a little bit about this particular topic. No, this topic is a very sensitive one. A lot of people, it's a very controversial one. A lot of people have their different opinion and different thoughts, about it. So disclaimer, we're not in any way forcing our opinions on anyone here. First question,
okay,
to get this conversation rolling, is sex before marriage a good idea? So you guys,
To me, my own opinion, guys.
No, no, but I got it. I get it. It's
Well, for me, personally, I feel like it's all about the personal choice, totally. And if you're cool with it, it's cool. But generally, I feel like there's something so wrong about it.
okay, so you advise anybody to go?
Well, I'm not advising yet. It's not a recommendation, but as I said, personal belief comes in. And personally, I feel I don't see anything so wrong with it, aside the gospel preachings against it. That's moral teachings and religious teachings about it. Personally, there is no harm, or there are no harms, so I can go ahead with it. But if you want to so go ahead with it too, perfect for you. It's just a personal belief.
Just to add to what you said, sometimes it depends on the partners, the persons who are involved
In the relationship,
yes, so for them to decide. So it's not a bad thing. Sex before marriage is not bad.
Okay, like in my opinion, I will always go the Christian way, which is wait till you're married. So this is my personal belief anyway. So like he said, he has his own personal opinion and thoughts on it, and she has hers too.
How do you know like you're sexually compatible with like who you're with?
I feel like
Get
I
married
feel like,
and then you don't like the person.
I feel like we're going to see before. Let me just say this before you guys get married. There is no way that the both of you are not going to be in one room. At least you guys exactly. There is going to be some level of making out. Yes.
Okay, so is it possible that why you want to abstain from sex before marriage is because you want to make a statement of trust to your partner? Probably because you know that walking into a marriage, knowing that this is the first time you're having something to do with a guy, gives you this kind of edge. You understand that there's this trust the guy has for you that you have not met out any other guy apart from himself, and that trust kind of proves that your marriage is going to go a lot better than the girl that's been going around.
No.
Isn't it something close to this?
One thing that I'm not saying is that keeping yourself or saving yourself to marry does not mean that you are going to. It doesn't guarantee a blissful, happy marriage. No, it doesn't in any way at all. It doesn't guarantee a blissful marriage. Okay, so the second question here is, how do you communicate no sex before marriage? For partners, I'm sure like some of us here they've decided to go ahead with it before marriage, while some have decided to keep themselves. But then I'm just asking this question for persons who have decided not to go for it, people who have decided to save themselves for marriage. How do you communicate that particular decision of yours to your partner?
Is there a better way to communicate
Like
things?
just not
Is there a better way to communicate things than to make it real
If
express?
like I'm waiting, blah blah blah.
Yeah, so I don't think you have to communicate to the
There's
person
no
by
special
doing
way
some
of
voodoo.
communicating.
Hello.
Just
sign,
like
It may not come up
Nah,
like
you know.
a conversation. Sometimes it comes
you
up
have
as
to
a
like actually create a
conversation.
conversation and like
Sometimes it comes up as a
Out there,
sometimes it
I'm
does.
Okay, okay.
You just request it.
I think the kind of relationship you should have these days, by the time you're asking a girl out, you guys are already having a lot of presumptions that are going to end up in bed. So I think nobody will ask you, are you sex oriented? You know?
ask.
No, a lot of people won't ask unless you give them that sign that probably are not. So if you're like the normal kind of person we see on the street, nobody will ask you, are you sex oriented in relationships or not. So it's left for you to make sure you put in situation to ask you that question, or at least you yourself bring it up as soon as possible so that you know what to sign up for. Yeah, sure.
All circumstance or situations will help.
Yeah.
That's, some people don't actually talk about all these things. People just become friends. From friends, start going, start talking. Then the friendship now keeps extending. So till it extends to
That
the
point.
situation.
Okay.
So when it now gets to that situation or circumstance,
Okay.
and it's about happening, and you, from your gestures, the guy can now tell that, oh, she's not this or she's not that. It can make the guy not speak to you maybe for 1 day or 2 days, after which you can now clarify him on the fact that, look, this is not what I budgeted
What I want.
at the beginning of the
Yeah,
relationship,
yeah.
and please just respect my limits. Yeah.
I actually think, okay.
Some clarity, because this keeps bothering me. Are we talking about an extent of sexual activity, or are we talking about sex generally? Because if you are dating, just like a lot of people have it now, they just avoid this particular part of it, the end to it, and they do every other thing. I'm not trying to mention activities here, but a lot of relationships have foreplays totally, but they don't get into sex proper, and that seems cool. So if that's your definition of not having sex before marriage, then it's even not so going to bother your partner, because there are a lot of ways to achieve this whole thing. But then if your decision is that you are going to abstain even from the little kisses and stuff like that, I think it's a hard line, and you have to really communicate to your partner, even if it's anyhow, even the person being your friend and it's moved to relationship, you have to somehow tell the person.
I'm on a marriage counseling group chat. So I asked the admin there the definition of sex, because sex has taken a new dimension. And 21st century makeout, it's even more interesting than the 20th century sex.
Yeah.
So if you're saying sex being penetration and orgasm, when people can even attain or achieve orgasm without actually penetrating and having a very, very, very good time.
They can even achieve with penetration, but not in the direct spot. There are a lot of more penetration.
That's penetration, meaning penile, venal penetration.
Well, is that the penetration we're talking about here? There's a lot of things.
Penetration, that be penetration.
This whole conversation just took a new turn.
Okay, see, in my opinion, anyways, I think it should come up like in the most natural way ever. You shouldn't make it awkward, like when you immediately into a relationship with someone, now be like just in the process of getting into that, you're already like telling the person, oh yeah, see, this is how it is for me. I'm not doing this, that, and that. I feel like it should come up in the most natural way ever to make it look like to make you not look weird.
To make you not look like you're trying to scare the person.
Yeah, to make you not look like trying to scare the person. Just let it come up in the most natural way ever. That's just my opinion on that.
Anyone who kisses you would want to touch you.
Go down.
Wait, calm down. And no one kisses with the person's hands behind. So if the first experience happens
One
and
thing always leads to
another,
another.
exactly.
and it keeps getting better.
You should
keeps getting
see,
better.
anyway, the thing is that if you've decided not to, you should know the point
Yes.
where you should cut it short.
Self-control.
Seriously, the self-control really matters. We're not dogs here. So you should know the point where you should cut it off.
Who are we? Because
We are human beings.
oh yeah, no.
We are human
No,
beings.
speak for yourself. Like a lot of human beings are totally
does.
does. Yeah. I'm not talking about myself.
Actually very
I don't know,
important to,
but-
have
but
like,
I
that
just-
conversation up front because like it's so easy for things to like actually get out of hand, even for
Exactly.
you yourself.
Even if,
decide
yeah,
to
that's
Yes.
exactly.
like
So you don't want to put
once
yourself
somebody
in
just
position.
touches
Like,
you,
it's
Can go
easier
0
said
to
than
100.
done.
And she's speaking from
Yeah,
personal
yeah.
experience. And once somebody just touches you,
Can go from 0 to 100 in one split
No,
second.
but at the end of the day, the most important thing is self-control. If you've decided
And don't try
to
to put
keep
yourself in
yourself,
that-
yes, and not try to put yourself in that situation, even if sometimes it's very much inevitable. But when you find yourself in such situations, you should be able to control it. Do you understand?
I think
There's some
just
things
make
that don't need that don't you don't really get that control easily.
exactly. So don't put
Just
yourself. They say avoid
Don't put
occasion of
yourself in
sin.
this
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Avoid occasion of
exactly,
sin. So
exactly.
if this means a sin to you, obviously it's a sin.
Yes.
But if it's so big a sin that you cannot, that you want to,
Can't
avoid
control,
it,
yeah.
and you really don't want to have sex before marriage, is it not more reasonable that
For you to
you
abstain
tell
from
people on time and abstain from being in a
Yes.
room closed up with a guy?
Alone.
Because you may have the intention to not go further, but most times our intentions don't really translate to
As if you
anything
don't
so
have
good.
the self-control.
No, self-control is just overestimated by you because I think
Self-control
we're
is
just human
such a-
beings and
yeah.
self-control sometimes can go negative.
Yeah,
So unless you're not physically attracted to the person.
Okay, all right. Okay, so this is going to take us into our next question, which is how long do you guys think is too long to wait? Like in a relationship, the first one was the last question I asked was for people who have decided to keep themselves. Do you understand? Then this question now is for persons or people or partners who are okay with having sex before marriage. Yeah. So what do you think? Okay, how long do you think is too long to wait to have sex before marriage for persons who consider it a good thing, like an okay thing to do?
There's no fixed amount of time or time limit with regards to romance or sexual activities. I mean, it can just happen on the first night, it can happen on the second night, it can happen after a month, depending as the spirit leads.
Damn, perfect. But I think I would go on this side that for clarity purposes, depending on how you guys met and how you have your understanding. Most times you get yourself in such position where you get to a partner and you guys are just partnering up. If you get to a partner that is as liberal as I am, I may not mind if you want to get your legs open, throw your legs open on the first night. But a lot of persons may really translate that to your being not so, sane, not so
Put together.
covered up and all. So they may think that is your lack of morality and not because of the attraction towards them. It's something that is definitely going to happen. So it doesn't matter when it happens.
Yeah.
But in most cases, if it has to happen and you just want to give yourself some personal respect, knowing that you can't judge the person's orientation, you may have to live for some time. Maybe after, it doesn't matter months or weeks or days, but at least when you understand that the person is okay with you doing it in time, not just throwing yourself up the first time. Probably persons may misjudge it.
Well, I think it's easier said than done. Like for people who are celibate, especially. You remember a few years back when someone like Linda Ikeji in her blog, she said she was celibate and she advises young girls
To be.
be celibate. And one day we just saw a pregnancy shoot.
Yeah,
baby,
she could
and
also be celibate.
People
I
were
mean-
like, Auntie, how come?
No,
you're not married.
No, you would have doubted Virgin Mary, right?
Oh.
No, but seriously, she could have just inserted stuff and
So,
Yeah,
I
at the end of the day,
with the,
it's easier said than done, But the truth is, if you decide to be celibate, you have to be committed to it and just abstain entirely and don't put yourself in that situation where you will not be able to control
so
yourself.
on another, is it still celibacy if you use all these toys? Because there are a lot of very wonderful AI toys that give you. a
Please,
lot of
believe you
things.
guys to answer that.
Yeah, I
Just
don't know.
drop your
Okay,
opinions
yeah,
in the
drop-
comment
drop.
section. What do you guys
Perfect.
think? Is it still celibacy when you go ahead using like
Every other
sex
means,
toys?
toys,
Every other means, exactly.
film-
So, what do you guys think? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. So, when it comes to this particular, how long is too long to wait? I don't even think you should do it in the first place. So why just wait till marriage? I'm not.
Go ahead and do it. I'm not doing
I
it.
have
Do
a
it.
question. If you're saying wait till marriage, what if you get to the age of 40, you're not getting any younger, and nothing
And
is
you want to
happening?
make a child. I want a baby.
Yeah, wait to marry still.
There's
Not
so many.
necessarily
There's so
wanting
many
a child,
artificial.
But you're just waiting for it to happen. You're like, okay, how long am I going to keep waiting?
God do not allow me to wait till that.
Well, we're not talking about God here. This is a practical question, and you have to
God
really
would
look at
let
it practically.
you.
Greg told you to-
There is no such
Because that's exactly what happened
Yeah.
with Linda
you
Ikeji.
can wait till 40 and
Linda
Wait
Ikeji,
40 and
exactly.
just nonsense.
so I just going to
Kept
adopt
waiting
a
and
baby.
waiting
No,
and
but you can
waiting.
adopt a baby.
But I want my baby. I don't want
What
somebody else's
exactly?
baby.
Well,
See,
but you don't want
so
sex,
waiting-
you.
so waiting can be in
You don't want that, but you want to go.
What I think is that if there's no reason for embarking on a mission, then there's no reason actually for the mission at all
Yeah.
in the first place. So if you cannot tell yourself why you want to remain celibate or why you want to abstain from sex, if there's no reason or
For it.
advantage you can ascribe
For me,
or attach to your
Yeah.
celibacy or abstinence or whatever you want to call it, then there's no reason for it. Because since we are talking, I've been trying to think apart from the religious and moral aspect of it, why else should someone not want to have a good time? I mean,
enjoy life.
sex and romance and the likes are like the best things that can happen to anybody in this life. They're
Well,
like the
it
most
could happen at a
interesting
better time, but you know what people say these days that really is a negative argument against this. I'm just going to throw it out because a lot of people will be waiting for someone that is supporting sex to throw this out somewhere. You know, when they tell you that the dangers that come with sex before marriage, pregnancy, blah blah blah. I'm just going to tell you those dangers are dangers that come with sex, not sex before marriage.
Yeah.
So generally, it can happen even in marriage, you know, and outside marriage. So these are, and then we're not encouraging, please, we're not encouraging underage sex.
Yeah,
We're talking about
please,
adults.
please.
25-year-old boy,
Adults.
23-year-old girl, 30-year-old boy, 25-year-old girl. You know, when you know that you're grown enough and you feel like this is something you want
19-year-old
to
girl,
do.
23-year-old
Exactly, but
boy.
not 16, 13. We're not talking about the legal impact here, nothing, but not those ages. And those ones will be underage sex. I think it's discourageable.
Okay, so one thing I want to add to this answer, to this group of answers of different persons is that, and whenever it is done, you shouldn't expect, like, I want to just say this: sex is not like a guarantee that your partner is going to love you forever and ever. Amen. It doesn't matter if you do it the first night or wait till 90 days, like Steve Harvey said, the 90 days rule to know the man and all of that. So what you should have at the back of your mind is whether you do it on the first day or after 90 days or you wait till after marriage doesn't guarantee that your partner is going to stick with you forever and ever. Understand? I've seen people who have dated for 8 years and then they got married and then they divorced after 2 months. You understand? So whenever you do it, just have it at the back of your mind that that doesn't guarantee exactly. It doesn't guarantee a how would I put it, like a perfect relationship or stable relationship. Yeah. So this will take us to the next question, which is, when do you think is the right time to discuss sex with your partner? Like for persons, okay, I think we've kind of dealt with this
So
particular question.
while we're
but
dealing with
like,
that question, we practically covered it all.
but what I want to add here is, like, when do you think is the perfect time to discuss sex with your partner? Let's say, for example,
On the first date.
yeah, is it on the first date?
Same.
Or when do you think is the best time to? I'm asking for everybody who is interested to know. You know, I'm sure there are some persons here who are interested to know. So when do you think is the best time to discuss it, like officially discuss
Everybody have their
it?
personal.
I said there's no course outline or table of content for relationship talks or relationship topics. It just happens, and nobody will say, okay, on the 23rd of March, we're going to discuss extensively sex because we are trying to know ourselves better and we're trying to delve into relationship. So on the 23rd of, that would be a day specifically set out to discuss sex, romance, and the likes.
Oh my god, I'm so going to add that. That was very funny.
Okay.
Discuss,
It was funny. What if it touched you?
no course outline or so there's no specific date to fix for discussion of sex. It happens, like it comes spontaneously as topics in relationships keep coming. You say, okay, today we'll just be talking, one thing will lead to another, one thing will lead to another. Then nobody sets out a date or a day to discuss sex and romance and all. Sometimes it's not even discussed, like me, for someone like me, I'll not even discuss it with you.
By implication, right?
It's just circumstance will tell.
Yeah.
The
Come up
situations
naturally.
would happen. We might not even discuss it, but we'll discuss it with our gestures or with our, something like that.
Yeah, you're being a bad boy here. Okay, but there's something actually that could connect to this, because talking about this whole discussion, when to discuss, when not to discuss, a lot of people skip the discussion or don't get it rightly because they want to really sound religious, and at the end of the day, they get to a point where they start meeting each other privately, and for a lot of girls that want to maintain celibacy, when they end up getting a lot out of control with a guy when they are alone with him and they end up having sex. They come off it and start having some blames, and they need someone to blame for whatever that happened to them. That's why you hear a lot of people say that their first sex was with a guy that is an asshole, that the guy raped them, blah, blah. It wasn't actually the case. Most times the case is just that you were out of control at that point and this happened. And so it leads me to saying that if you guys didn't have a discussion about this, if you want to really abstain from any position that could get you into it. And then if you eventually get into that, don't blame the guy, because this is something, unless the guy actually forced you, which is not justifiable for any reason. But if you get into that position where you lost control, and that's because maybe you didn't have the talk perfectly in the first place, don't be so antagonistic with the guy.
That's why we say communication is very, very
Very, very, very.
like the conversation will surely come up, because once you're dating somebody, obviously you're actually sexually attracted. If you think person is fine and you really don't mind sleeping with the person, so eventually the sex talk will actually come up, and then whatever your feelings are, I feel like that's the time to like put it.
I think we're saying this because we're 21st century kids. I mean,
Yeah, and also sometimes people want to discuss sex after sex. That's after the main act. That's why some people after, you now hear the girl saying, what are we now? So, and that's when she now she wants the guy to now define, or they want to talk about the
no,
relationship.
that is not a perfect spectrum of what we are talking about now. We are talking about where people just had a
Discuss.
fling. Yeah, people having sex before relationship. When we're talking about the perfect side of
No. You
we're
can be
talking-
in a relationship, but people don't talk about.
No.
Wait, now
If
let
you
me-
are in a relationship and then you guys eventually had sex, he
Yes.
won't be asking you what are we now.
Like
Because
there's
she
some
already knew.
relationships that are
That's what I'm
not
saying.
defined.
You've been having flings. That's a fling. That's you meeting up with a girl that's been friends with you, and
Like
then
you
you
didn't
guys.
like you guys didn't like agree to
Exactly.
sex
We're
in the
talking-
relationship.
So we're talking about sex in a relationship.
Also, sorry,
Don't mind me too.
drifting a little.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I don't know whether it's just peculiar to me or my friends. People don't formally get into relationships anymore. I mean, you just start talking with
Just look up in the
her.
window and realize that yeah.
1 month into the discussion, friendship. 2 months, you see that she's now your confidant, she's now your friend, but formally, people are not boyfriends and girlfriends. So, but the whole world of people think.
You guys have to like define your relationship.
So, but after that
No, it's not
incident,
compulsory.
after that incident,
It is.
after that
Marriage
happened,
is a relationship.
Like what if like that's if you don't define your I feel
What
like
if
if you
in
don't
your
define
mind
your
it's my
relationship,
boyfriend?
and then in our mind,
my girl.
exactly, you have to like
So
define your
many, like,
relationship.
That's where this comes out. That's where you people have just have. Yeah, that's where you people just have to
Yeah,
have sex
most
and
of the
then
times.
get to
Girls
find
really
out
don't
like
forget that
just
they-
when you're in that position, just have sex.
And
That's
one thing that I want to add, like I feel like
Don't mind me saying have
our
sex.
our African press has kind of contributed to this particular problem because a lot of people see discussing sex like as a big deal.
So improper, yeah.
Some people even think that like men mentioning the word sex corrupts their mind. Understand? You should be even if you decide to stay celibate or decide to go ahead and have sex, you should always be open to this conversation because it's something that needs like more people to talk about it because so many people who get into it are just ignorant. They just do it because out of what they've watched from maybe TV or what they've seen people do or what they've heard from friends. I feel like our parents didn't like tell us enough about this, and it has kind of affected how we think of it as human beings. And I think that our parents should try out. If you're a parent watching this video, subsequent
that when you get to a certain age, you should know.
that is the problem. Like I've seen books on sex education for even like for smaller children. You should as once the child, because I've seen children who because they saw their mommy and daddy maybe mistakenly they saw their mom and dad making out in the bedroom. They're not like, hey, let's do this. We can actually try this because they don't even understand what it was just because they saw
the fear African parents have is that information comes with
some kind of
complications. So you realize that they are not strong in their own sense because a lot of these Western kids, because of the environment, it's reasonable to tell them those things on time. In our own environment, imagine you grew up when you were 11 and your parents were already telling you about sex. Somehow you may even misinterpret it. You may go to school with a lot of information in your head and see the problem about knowledge is that when you realize finally, for instance, you could have a lot of years in your teenage wondering what exactly is sex, if it's just hugging a girl that you had sex with her or something. When you finally realize the techniques in sex education and everything, you realize that you wish you never knew. You wish you haven't gotten to this extent when you got to know. So your parents would prefer that at those early ages you are not concerned with things that will distract you. So this is them trying to avoid you having those information. And out of you trying to get information as a kid, as a teenager, you are always very keen to get information. You go out there and you get information and it's going to disturb you the hell out.
Exactly.
And you seeing them do that stuff is an information that is not proper for you to get at that point. So it's an information that is not even their fault that you got it. It's you bumping into it out of
But
curiosity.
like,
But
still,
are
no
they-
matter, I'm sorry, okay. But still, no matter how much they try to protect you, eventually, like I think by the time I was gay, they actually knew what sex was and like what everybody was doing.
Yeah.
So if it had actually come from like people I trusted,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel
Could
like
have kind of guided
would have
your
been
thoughts
different from
yes,
me,
on that
yes,
particular
exactly.
I
topic.
know. I'm just smiling.
That is
I got
actually
to know
true,
that
in
at
as
the
much
same.
as sometimes information in so many ways, like ignorance is actually is a very bad disease. In as much as our parents try to protect us from, getting involved in the bad things of life, sex is not a
I'd
bad
rather be
thing.
ignorant
God created it.
at some point in life.
you can't be completely
Damn.
protected. You always
Yeah,
eventually,
God-
eventually find out.
God
Because once,
created
I don't
sex,
know.
and I think when He created it with good intention. So
Sex
our
is not the
parents, no, I'm just trying to make a point.
No, I'm
Our
saying
parents,
that did God really create sex?
yes, God
Yes.
created sex when He created Adam and Eve and
Yeah.
told them to multiply. How would they multiply?
Well, they
By
could-
planting trees. And
IVF.
please, that was no IVF then.
No, but
So,
you can't tell.
okay, what I'm trying
But how
to say
did he
is that
create sex? It could have happened any other way. I
but
mean,
just-
Adam could have been
They
doing
did
his
not
thing,
just
Eve doing his thing, and then I'm just.
yeah, He
I'm
puts
just
in
like
us. He put the
the
organs in
emotions,
us and the
you know,
emotions
sense
exactly.
in us.
This takes us to our very last question. Someone should approach you for an advice based on this particular topic. What is going to be your advice to the person? What would you tell the person?
Okay, for me, in fact, from my observations, I've noticed that people who are not romantically involved get pissed out easily. I mean, sorry. Persons who, persons who, I'm not talking about sex necessarily, but every other romance involving. If persons who are not romantically involved or romantically engaged in some romantic activities get easily pissed, and I'm not sure they are very alright psychologically because they are not having the best of times. So they have mood swings from time to time and all. And also, one more thing is that that you remain celibate till marriage does not guarantee you giving birth to the finest of kids, or you even giving birth at all, or you having the best of behaviors or best of attitudes. I mean, some persons who moved from the strip clubs, moved from being strippers to the White House,
better now.
or people move from being strippers to very successful businesswomen or businessmen. You can see, so celibacy doesn't even guarantee anything.
Yeah.
And you being promiscuous or sexually loose doesn't as well guarantee anything.
To me, generally, I don't support sex for marriage. That's my personal opinion about it. But I believe that anything that makes you happy in this world, do it, just go for it. If sex before marriage is what you want and it's to give you pleasure you want and everything, you go for it. We are not kids, we are adults. And some persons even like having sex with the person they want to end up getting married, so that they will know if you
So
are
they will explore.
compatible.
Yeah, the
Yes,
compatibility.
compatibility. Thank you very much for that. So it's just a personal opinion. If you want, for you to go into that relationship, that means you love the person, you got attracted to the person. So my advice is that anything that makes you feel
Choosing to do.
go for it.
Just do
Thank
it
you
with your
very much.
futures.
I love you guys. Sorry?
Okay, I think that, like, my friends we've all said that we're right, and I think it's something that should happen between two consenting adults. If you're okay with it, you are okay with it. If you don't mind, then go ahead. I mean, but if you decide to be celibate, it's a personal decision, and it's your body. Like Rex rightly said, you should have a reason. You should have, why you want to abstain from sex and stay committed to it. But if on the other hand you don't mind, then go ahead. It's up to you. It's your body.
Okay, I think that if you're also deciding to wait, then you make sure you're waiting for the right reason. If you're deciding to wait, make sure you're waiting for the right reasons. Don't wait because maybe your husband wants you to be a virgin, or just make sure you're doing it for yourself, maybe for God, or maybe like for your standards or
You have to
whatever.
have reason for it.
Also, and if you're even sleeping with somebody, always you have to make sure that you're ready and you're sleeping with the right person.
Exactly.
You have to know your body, know yourself, know what you're comfortable with, and like see red flags. Because some boys are like seriously weird. So everybody should just like know. So yeah.
Okay.
Get
Okay.
protected.
As deplorable as it sounds, that all of us are most likely tilting towards justifying sex, even though we objectively feel that it's wrong. I still feel that there is still this sense of morality that should be at least maintained in the society. As much as personally we all go out there and we still want to maybe engage in things that whatever that gives us joy, that doesn't hurt anybody, which is what the 21st century is all about. Do whatever that gives you joy as long as it doesn't affect any other person. I think at that same time we should all consider the fact that there are things that would really not be so good for public morality. Do what you want to do. Have sex if that's what you want, but make sure you do it with someone that accepts, because this is the basic to it. Most times if you want to get into a relationship, you go for a girl and the girl says, I'm not sex oriented in relationships. Leave her. Don't force her in and then force her out of her orientation. Then if you must engage with her, try to make sure that you are now engaging in her own terms, because that's what it's supposed to be. So don't get someone's daughter and stress her out of what her orientation is. That's the most important thing. So make sure you, as you're engaging in whatever that gives you fun, also understand that the other person matters. If the person is not engaging in the same terms with you, you should always have to consider the person. Either you leave or you subscribe to our own terms.
Okay. Guys should also try to always listen to their girls. Try to respect their principles.
Well, yes, definitely. That's what everybody says about sex, right? But at the same time, as a lady, just as you get into a relationship with a guy and you want to be celibate, because I don't see a lot of guys wanting to be celibate after 20. So, but as a lady, if you want to be celibate and you are getting into a relationship with a guy, sometimes it comes with some kind of consequences, untold consequences, that about 80% of these guys will be getting laid elsewhere. And if that's what you can do, maybe.
Yeah. As you said, as Maryjane said, some that guys should try listening to girls or people who their partners. But now, in this 21st century, as we were talking about 21st century, they say when a girl says yes, she means no. When she says maybe, she means.
So it's really
and also in so many circumstances, I've seen where people reluctantly agree, like stop now, but you're still girl.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the doors are open. Oh yeah, move. Stop now. And the guy wants to leave. Stop now. You're saying stop, but you're dragging the guy. So and after the ultimate leaves, when the person leaves or something, you now start chatting. That's so. And we were both in the same room. Am I not fine enough? He's not even touch me. Not even. He cannot even. So it's just complicated.
Because sometimes girls can be very complicated. So let's help guys make this whole thing easy.
No, we also can be complicated. Let's stop talking about girls. I'm fucking complicated, whatever it is. Yes, like it's not all about the girls. Yeah, sometimes I also want to have. It's practically not so believable, but sometimes guys just want to abstain from sex. Yeah, it's not.
Okay. So my own advice to everyone out there is, whatever you have decided to do, you should have a reason. Like you said, you should have a reason for doing it, and you should not let your reasons or your principles or standards be easily shaken. Especially if you've decided, like in your heart of hearts and your mind of mind, that you really want to do this, you should be able to put some kind of like rules around it, because we are all human beings, and at the point if we are not able to control ourselves, we might just fall into what we've been avoiding. So this has brought us to the end of this very, very interesting topic. And if you've watched this point and you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, what are you waiting for?
I don't know.
What are you waiting for? It doesn't cost you.
In case you skipped and got to this point, still just subscribe. That's
it doesn't cost you. It doesn't cost you an eye. It doesn't cost you your legs, your arms, nothing. It costs you absolutely nothing. Okay, just click on.
No, it doesn't cost you anything.
Click on the subscribe button. Like this video, comment, share with your friends. So you can always come back or be the first. Click on the notification bell, so you always be the first to get notified whenever I post a new video. So thank you guys for watching this video.
Please don't drag anybody. Be respectful.
And yes, please be respectful with your comment. And you can also drop your advice in the comment section. You don't have to drag anybody. Okay, this is a safe space. Okay?
She's very concerned about dragging.
This is
drag her the hell out.
This is a safe space. Okay, we're just airing our thoughts, so you should be able to do that without like insulting or dragging anyone. Okay, so till next time, bye.